So you saw the Pig movie. What did you think?
Listen.
It's called Pig with Nicolas Cage.
Pig with Nicolas Cage. Very good film, lots of pathos, beautifully shot, very dramatic, great soundtrack. I kind of wanted him to like fuck up the guys who stole his pig.
The advertising for Pig implied that it was going to be some sort of John Wick revenge, something in the Mandy was another one that it was like immediately I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be Nick Cage screaming and like it just wasn't.
The other thing that I had on it is after he gets so in this, for the uninitiated, this man has his pig stolen by tweakers, and
it's a truffle hunting pig.
Yes, which are very valuable because truffles are very expensive. You can only find them through foraging, yada yada. He goes off into the city, into the bourgeois city, into like what, Portland, Oregon, or something like that.
It's Portland. It's like,
and he goes to like a
culinary, like snooty, culture is really more what the movie's about.
Exactly. But then he ends up in in the first act. He ends up at the end of that first act in like a fight club, where he doesn't fight back. He just gets like the shit beaten out of him. And then the thing that I could not shake is that he does not wash his fucking face for like days after. He has like these vicious like open wounds. He's in these like Tony Portland neighborhoods looking just like a fucking like a zombie or something. But yeah, overall solid watch. I love the Cage renaissance. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Listen, he is a hog.
Absolutely hoggish.
Full-time hog. We will continue to monitor his career as it develops. Fuck.
The flub heads.
Flub. Sorry, I flubbed. Okay, let's try again. I'm letting it roll this time. We're not re-recording.
Who let the hogs out?
This is Hog Planet. Dan Spaventa here, your host, joined by Sam, as always. We're back from hiatus.
Yeah, just because we feel like it. No particular reason.
Yeah, I don't know. There was
if we had a mission, this might be the worst podcast ever. Like if we had a goal, no.
Yeah. I mean, even like the idea of like profit is laughable, but it's not what making stuff is about. We just want to make something.
For the viewers, I have some new hog paraphernalia. This elephant-shaped pipe. It kind of looks like you're packing his like ass with the weed.
Yeah, that could be like a distended asshole.
It could be, but I'm a fan of the elephant. It's got a nice big chamber.
What if we just made this a weed podcast?
It kind of already. If you hate weed smoking or like stoner culture in general, you're listening to the wrong podcast. Like, okay, one of my pet peeves lately, Dan, has been I wish weed was back like it was in the 60s and 70s take. All these like, irony bros on fucking Twitter love to talk about how weed is quote unquote too strong these days, which I could not have any fucking sympathy for at all. Like if you're smoking mids, do not pass it to me. Enough. Like we are here in 2020 because we have dank weed. Like that's the only thing that's gotten us this far. Like, what are your 2 cents on this, Dan?
No, I think it's kind of ridiculous when people, bemoan like, oh my God, the current weed makes you dissociate so much. Yeah, that's the fucking point.
Or just don't fucking smoke so much. I don't know. What do you want? Like,
Yeah,
you
I
can
don't know. Some
buy.
people also like shouldn't be just like, like blasting a joint to the face and expecting to just like feel chill. It's not like for everybody, but um, you know, uh, the whole like there's also like maybe legitimate arguments to say like legalization kind of further like gentrifies, the trade. But
Absolutely, absolutely.
at the end of the day, am I like crying about weed being too strong? No, no, I'm not.
I mean, with the added strength comes also the ability to like, I don't know, more variety. You can kind of get what you want. If you find the heavy indica, gives you couch lock or whatever, you can get a sativa. I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking just from like DC where we have kind of a fairly legal thing going on here, and there's a variety that you can get. But I don't know. It beats waiting in a fucking parking lot for some asshole to show up with something that like may or may not get you high, like which was my experience. I don't know up to like this point. So it's always like it's always given me a fucking rub me the wrong way that take. It's a little and you look if you saw that 70s weed, go look at that like High Times a cover from like 77 that everyone passes around. You don't want to smoke that shit. Come on, get over it.
Yeah, and like weed culture is annoying as shit and sucks, but it's it's not something you have to engage with at all.
Any culture where you make like one thing like an identity, like I don't know, even if you or like come on, like watching a show or something like that and having that be your identity, whatever, being a Harry Potter nerd and like identifying with one of the four houses of Hogwarts or something, that's at least as lame as like being way too into weed culture. But look, we enjoy it. We would be lying to ourselves and to the audience if we didn't express this to you, the listener, and you like it because you're listening to it. I don't know.
Yeah, at this point, seriously, it's on you. Okay, let's one thing I wanted to bring up before we get into the meat of the show is I want to pay tribute on Hog Planet to the legend Louis Anderson. He was an incredible comic.
King.
Any of his specials, so funny. His most recent one I think was called Big Underwear, and it was like
great special title.
Yeah, he was great. I recorded something with him during the pandemic, so I got to like spend an hour like on a Zoom call with him, and it was really cool. And I'm sad he's gone. His performance in Baskets is one of the best things you'll ever see.
Titanic loss, especially because like on the day, I felt like it was a little overshadowed by the death of Meatloaf. Now I don't want to speak ill of the dead so soon, but never been a fan of Meatloaf, and he was also like an anti-vaxxer until his last breath or whatever.
I unconfirmed if he was unvaccinated, but he definitely was like, I'll take my own risks, and if I don't want to wear a mask, I won't. He's an anti-masker and anti-mandate guy for sure.
One of these days we got to do like a Venn diagram of who is anti-vax and also unvaccinated, because I bet it's like not that, especially of like the loudmouths in media, it's not that many people. A ton of those since all those COVID anti-vax hosts, like all those conservatives just started dying of COVID in droves. I think like most of them got the shot. Even like Cheryl Hines, being married to like Robert Kennedy Jr. I'm like, nah, if you were on Curb, you definitely got the jab. Larry does not tolerate that shit.
She's not a main cast member anymore, so like she doesn't have to be on the show,
right?
So if she's there, she's definitely vaccinated, even if her husband is a anti-vax freak.
And the last thing on that is that the fact that Larry introduced Cheryl and RFK Jr. and then Cheryl had to apologize because RFK Jr. said that like the vaccine mandate is basically like the Nuremberg codes or whatever.
I believe Anne Frank was invoked.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly. I'm so jaded to like when people compare shit to the Holocaust or like Nazis. like my wife always gives me a look like, oh, I'm so sorry they did this, as if it like hurts me at all. I barely feel anything. It's so fucking common at this point that it's not good. I'm not saying this is a good thing, but I'm so jaded to that shit.
Yeah,
But it
we hit it.
absolutely is a Curb episode to have Larry introduce Cheryl to RFK Jr. and then him say some wild shit about the Holocaust. I could just see her like calling him like Larry.
But we have to also say that Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s fucking book, like The Case Against Anthony Fauci. Apparently, if you type "the," and I haven't tried this, but like someone's like, if you type "the" into Amazon, it's like one of the first things that comes up, which is just really great. That
all right, I gotta try it.
Yeah, all right.
Nah, it's this. Oh no, you're right. Oh my god, it's not number one. It's number three. Number one is the pink stuff. Number two is the body keeps the score. No idea what the fuck this is. I also do not have an Amazon account, so I don't have anything like of my recents in there that would like mess it up. But yeah, the third one is the real Anthony Fauci, Robert Kennedy.
Unbelievable. I don't know. Let's get into the meat of the show here. And when I say that, I mean, exactly the story. The rampaging pigs of the San Francisco Bay Area. And we're not talking about the techies.
Ugh.
In the Bay Area, there often are many species that roam the area, including turkeys, mountain lions, deer, bobcats, foxes. And these species don't really, they don't really bother the humans too much. But when the feral pigs get into the picture here, they are, quote, tearing up lawns, ripping through golf course fairways, threatening the drinking water, and disturbing the harvests at Napa vineyards. Now, this is true Hog Planet news. Like I saw this and was like, they're calling this the feral swine bomb.
A veritable swine flu, if you will. Yeah, the way this article is written is very funny as well. I think that's very tongue-in-cheek. Literally one of the lines after what you just read, the next sentence that ends the paragraph is, many Californians want them dead. Like, there's clearly this attempt to like play it up, but there's some like interesting facts in here. Apparently the USDA estimates $2.5 billion in like hog damage every year to crops and stuff. And I don't know, when I was reading this, I couldn't help but see a connection. Humans and pigs are not that far apart genetically. Pigs are very intelligent, almost on the level of like the executive function you see in like a chimp or like dolphin or whatever. And how different are we from these pigs? Like, these pigs are mean feral nomads that like consume and like spread across this land without any regard for I don't know, the environment. Like, sounds like us. I mean, what right do we even have to tell these hogs what to do? Are we like are we being hypocritical and culling the hogs?
That's hard to say because then is it I guess that's like theories of like ecology and like the humans' roles in in that environment. Is it ethical? I don't know. I mean, is hunting ethical? They say that like with deer, they overpopulate and can't find food. So is that ethical to cull the population? What do I know? It's not my area, but all I know is that if you have a feral swine chasing you, just climb up a tree. That's what the expert says in this article. Or get on top of your car.
They're like, pigs can't climb, which I guess is, I didn't really think of it that way.
Yeah.
It's pretty smart.
No, and there was one thing in here that is crazy. Listen to this. A military fighter jet was wrecked several decades ago after a collision with two wild pigs on a runway in Florida. Weighing hundreds of pounds, they can be extremely dangerous and in rare cases have attacked and killed humans.
Okay, listen. I feel the way about this military fighter jet that Trump feels about John McCain. Pathetic, honestly. Get your shit. How can that military? You know how much one of those things fucking costs? It should be able to cut through those hogs like butter. We should have like ham on the side of the runway after that thing's done with them. This is fucking ridiculous. Like, what are we? You know, isn't there like a perennial lefty kind of like post about how like the F-16 doesn't work or whatever, and like it's a huge waste of money? This should be like Exhibit A. You can't even take down 2 pigs. What does this thing cost? Like $1.6 million or whatever for each one. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know.
Hold on, I'm gonna share a screen for a second. Look at this fucking 800-pound swine.
Oh, is that my ex-wife? Sorry, that was like the lowest hanging fruit on earth. Dan liked it though. Whatever. The audience can't see Dan laughing, and he doesn't laugh into the mic because he's too much of a professional.
Okay.
But come on. All right. Well, I'm leaving.
Yeah, just go. I'll finish the show. I'll talk about Joe Rogan by myself.
Actually, I would totally listen to a solo podcast about Joe Rogan. Sorry, that was the Elvid pipe. This thing hits hard. I'm not used to it yet.
When the pigs enter the corral, almost always in the dead of night, Mr. Davies is alerted on the phone. He watches and closes the gates enclosure remotely once the whole group or sounder is inside. Then he and his wife Annie carry their 2 sleeping children into the back of their pickup truck. They drive through the darkened suburban streets to the enclosure and shoot the pigs. They go down like a shack of potatoes.
What this really is just like like further evidence of the fact that, I don't know, when Europeans showed up on this wild ass continent, like this is in California, you know, the furthest west this country gets, we don't know how to deal with the ecology. Like these pigs, they weren't like, you know, I don't know, were they like naturally occurring? Like there's just like this, to me, this says like we're like out of step with nature. If we're having this like massive hog issue, we have to like cull the hogs, and they're like trapping them at night. Like I'm watching the GIF on here of like these pigs being trapped in like a fucking shitty like makeshift cage. Like what are we doing here? Like how have we like let this shit get so bad? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I have nothing else on these hogs.
God damn. I mean, there's like there's big money going into culling these hogs in California. I don't know, just further evidence that the state of California was a mistake. What can we say?
Yeah, secede. We don't need you. New York forever. Let me share briefly, we'll talk about this. Michael Avenatti is
did nothing wrong. Just kidding.
Well, let's just play this first. We all know Michael Avenatti. Stormy Daniels' lawyer was a real presence on cable news, and you know, some people were like, "Oh, this guy's tough to beat Trump in 2020," and he was just indicted for stealing a shit ton of money from Stormy Daniels.
Still got a chance.
All my sexual fantasies involve handcuffs. All of my.
Oh man, Meghan McCain's face when he says that, it's too good.
I don't know. What like, I feel like talking about Avenatti, we don't have to go too deep into it, but it's like, what do you make of like, just like, I feel like that type of guy is not really around anymore. Like the tough Democrat. Like I can't think of anyone else who fits that.
No, I also Avenatti was just on TV all the time. He was the media Democrat, and there was this idea that like Democrats, which I don't know how he became like the spokesperson for this, just because he was like opposed to Trump nominally or whatever. But I don't know. He always seemed like a huge huckster, and the fact that he stole more money from Stormy Daniels than Trump even ended up paying her for the hush money or whatever was I don't know. It's like too perfect. It's a little too on the nose. The fact that this, resistance guy ended up stealing more from her than the corrupt, Cheeto in chief even gave her to shut up in the first place. There's just some kind of fucked up poetic justice or poetic injustice there. I don't know. I sound like a fucking idiot.
No, I think you know. I mean, come on. What are we supposed to? A guy like this is just so fucking useless. Like we got to move on from this. But Michael Avenatti's closing argument began like this: when my father was a teenager, he sold hot dogs at a ballpark.
The judge is then like, objection.
And then it was sustained. And then at the end, he said, I will leave you with this. I'm Italian. I like Italian food. The case that the government is attempting to feed you has a giant cockroach in the middle of the plate. Would you eat the dish or would you send it back? I submit that you would send it back.
Oh my God. This is the hallmark of I'm getting in trouble for a good reason, but I'm trying to convince you just without using any kind of qualitative argument at all, just saying, oh, the government's putting one on me, they're just trying to fuck me over. Just absolute ad hominem shit. Oddly similar to what people are saying about Joe Rogan now. I saw Tim Dillon saying that like Joe Rogan, it's clearly like the Democrats trying to manipulate the media before the next election cycle. I was like, if you do not, like, they're nowhere near savvy enough to be pulling that bullshit.
No.
Like, it must be fun to see a conspiracy theory everywhere, but you gotta get outside and live your life at the end of the day.
Yeah, Tim just depresses me now. I used to be a big fan. But what are we to make of the constant stream of Rogan shit? Because I feel like this is a whole lot of just like clickbait and like it's the same shit as like talking about Trump a lot when he's running in 2015.
I don't have as much experience with Rogan either, unlike you.
I've listened to the
show.
I've listened to the show a bit over the years. Yeah,
but like my impression hasn't been that like he has an agenda to push this kind of stuff. It's more of like he is trying to find, when you're like when you first started like reading nonfiction books and like each one blows your mind. Like a lot of like adults are like this too. A lot of people will tell me that I gotta read like Malcolm Gladwell or something else because you mistake something that's provocative and maybe persuasive on like a really surface level thing as being something that's like very true. I mean, it's kind of similar to what you said earlier about like, the people talking these days about what the role of a comedian is, of a stand-up comedian. Are they a truth teller or are they, is it just an act? I would lean towards, I think it should probably just be an act. I'm not expecting to get truth 100% from these people, but it's kind of a similar thing going on where there's like there's like a disconnect there. I don't know if that makes sense.
I guess like what do you see Joe Rogan as? Is he like a god king to some people? Absolutely. Read that subreddit. Like I've been on the subreddit a bit this weekend just because I was like, what are the real Rogan heads thinking? And they're freaking out. Half of it is them saying like, cancel culture, liberal pussies, and then the other half is people saying, oh my God, I like Joe is so cucked right now.
I don't get the sense that he has an agenda to push like racist shit as much as he just like every host that he has on, like it's become a common joke or refrain on Twitter where you say anything and then Rogan's just like, damn, okay, interesting. Like he will say that to fucking anything because he's someone with nothing in his brain, so he has no like. When you hear something like I heard a clip of a host on there or a guest on there talking about how like aggression is more common in Black people because of genetics and shit like that. And I was like, that is race science, but I know what race science is. I mean, like you could make the argument that like at this point, Joe Rogan should know what these things are, but also a lot of these fucking people are in their own bubbles. I mean, what does Rogan do every day besides podcast for like 4 hours where his job is to say like, damn, that's crazy to like anyone. And then do MMA for like the rest of the day and then sleep. Like, isn't that his life? He's like a multimillionaire. He's a very sheltered dude in a lot of ways. I'm not saying he should be saying these things. I think it is a social negative to see all like to have all these people who like receive a kind of uncritical earful of race science, which happens all too often on there, or even just the childish like him and Jordan Peterson talking about how like black people aren't the color black,
But he's
like they're not like a permanent marker. And I was like, you say this, you think this shit when you're like 6 years old. Like this is
okay,
the
hold on. In that
I've ever heard.
Just interrupting for 1 second. In that same episode, Jordan Peterson, I think, literally quote, "You know, there's no such thing as the climate."
Yeah, he says there's no such thing as the climate, and he also, I think somewhere else in that episode starts crying because he's like talking about listening to a blues guitarist like improvising a song. It's fucking it's weird. It's I don't think it's another
like
thing
Joe
where,
thinks
like
Joe like thinks guys like that who. It's not that Jordan Peterson even sounds smart, but it's like it's a certain way of like a performance of intelligence.
Yeah, it's sophistry is what
Yeah.
that is what the word you're looking for, I think. But like it's sounding like you know what you're talking about. And then like and then again, Joe Rogan just takes all of this uncritically. And anyone with any media training can sound authoritative on anything, hence us on this podcast, even though I don't have any media training. Like I don't know, but like there's a certain point where you have to have enough intelligence on your own. You have to have consumed enough stuff from something else to be able to question this. Like you have to defuse these arguments. Like if someone comes to you and says, you know, black people are genetically predisposed to be more violent, you have to talk about how you have to know that that's all based on bullshit, and it's like it's correlation with that does not apply causation. There's all these societal things that play a role in racial disparities and you know what and everything that comes out of that. So if you don't have that, or if you're of a mind to think like maybe everything I've been told about that isn't true and maybe certain people are being coddled, you can come to it from those angles. So I think there are people there who are maybe like, I think a lot of his audience might be genuinely ignorant, but I think a lot of them are willfully ignorant. And the difference between the two is key to me. I cannot deal with a willfully ignorant person, someone who knows better but wants to think differently and is searching for like ammunition in order to think differently. That I can't really abide. Someone who's genuinely ignorant just needs to be like pushed in the right direction, or you know, taught how to think for themselves. But I don't know. That's kind of where I land on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, and he said a bunch of really racist shit.
Yeah,
that has already that has like been brought out like several times. I you know, is it just because they are riding the Neil Young Joni Mitchell
I think
news
that's
cycle?
it. Because this is old news to you and I.
Right.
Because we're huge fans of the Rogan show. We listen all day and we love it when he's racist. No, we're like
but after Bernie went on, people were like, "Hey, Bernie, did you see this?"
Exactly, because that's the other thing that this is fucking restarted is the annoying. I literally saw someone today saying like Bernie was playing footsies with white supremacists, and I was like, "What the fuck? Why? What is this about? It's been years." And then what it was about was him going on Rogan, clearly, and so like once Rogan discourse starts up, all these old forms of Rogan discourse come back from the fucking dead, because it definitely was the Neil Young thing that led people to look back into Rogan's catalog. And I think also
I also have to say, sorry, one thing. Come on, Neil, not making it about the underpaying artists. Like he said nothing about that, and he had he had the ear of the entire world, and he said nothing about how they fuck over artists.
But again, this is like Neil Young is exhibit like fucking 9 billion, and boomers are still so fucking powerful, dude.
Yeah.
They are so, and he went about it in the most boomer way. He literally was telling people to join Amazon Music and like giving away free subscriptions to it. Like he's like, you don't need to be on Spotify and listen to Joe Rogan. You could be on again, and also Canadians. What's going on with Canadians in the on that? Like Joni Mitchell too. But anyway, they were like, yeah, I did delete Spotify just for fun, mainly. There's a bunch of like Rogan people in my sphere, like people who are genuinely into it. So I genuinely was just trying to piss them off, I think. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I'm on YouTube Music now, and it has a better selection, but there's no way I can make a political stand out of that. I just did it for fun. Like, it's not, because YouTube was originally where Rogan got big. As soon as I signed up for it, I was like, all right, there's no way I can.
No, there's no like ethical place. Like, you just, you know.
No, I mean, streaming platforms are not good in any anything. They're not good for anyone except for those of us who get to press play on a bunch of shit. But like,
all right, let's press play on the Rogan apology.
Hello, friends. I'm making this video to talk about the most regretful and shameful thing that I've ever had to talk about publicly.
The 100 plus times that I said the N-word. I liked how the numbers kept going up too.
No, I was like, they pulled 70 episodes,
like 70.
then it was like they pulled over 100.
It was like Dragon Ball Z. They're like, what? It's over 9,000.
Compilation.
How could this be?
Me saying the N-word. It's a video that's made of clips taken out of context.
What?
The way he said, he's like, I was saying the
N-word.
I don't know. I'm sorry. It's terrible.
It's terrible, but this is what's going on. So
this is why they're saying he's cucked, though, because he apologized for saying the
N-word. And
he
was, dude, he's the guy whose comedy special was called Triggered.
And like before we get into this, Dan, do you think that Rogan needs to stay on Spotify for a little longer to get the 100 million? Because my thing is like, why would
my theory is
he
was not given. My theory now is he hasn't been given a lump sum, and he has to like he didn't get the 100 million yet. Like, so maybe if he were to quit, like, they wouldn't buy him out. In that case, if he quit, I think he'd just be leaving a lot of money on the table. But I could also see, like, Robbie Martin said this, and I was like, I could very much see them just, if this just keeps going on, and it's just like, they could just end up like cutting him and paying him out. The Megyn Kelly.
Exactly.
Me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast.
And looks like more of a cue ball than ever somehow.
Fucking horrible, even to me. Now, I know that to most people, there is no context where a white person is ever allowed to say that word. Never mind publicly on.
Having like
some of us are Rogan heads though. So,
jeez. And also, like, it was after this that you saw this like outpouring from like Ted Cruz and Dan Crenshaw and like just these conservative just.
I support Joe Rogan. You've never fucking listened. Like, you have no idea who he is. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, Ted Cruz listens to this show. Fucking my ass. Crenshaw's been on, so Crenshaw knows him.
The fact that the White House even addressed this is so funny to me. Like,
no, that was pathetic, though. Also, that's just straight up like government asking for censorship. That was stupid.
That was actually very lame. But like, I don't know. The idea of Joe Biden having to learn who Joe Rogan is so. What he talks about. Vaccines on the internet, and they're like, trying to like explain this to him.
Dude, there's no way Joe Biden knows who Joe Rogan is.
Even if they explained it, he doesn't currently from this. Know.
Yeah.
A podcast, and I agree with that now. I haven't said it in years, but for a long time.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
When I would bring that word up, like if it would come up in conversation, instead of saying the N-word, I would just say the word. I thought as long as it was in context.
This is what a fucking 13-year-old says. I'm sorry. This is what 13-year-olds
We're talking about Red Fox. How Red Fox said that word on television in the 1970s and how times have changed so much since then. Or about how Richard Pryor used it
People
as
still
one of
say
the
the N-word on
titles, one of-
TV, dude. Am I missing something?
Look, like, what do you know? None of us are perfect. Like, you know, like I'm not saying that if you held everyone to this standard, who's an entertainer, who was an entertainer in the 90s and 2000s, like there would be a lot more people canceled.
No, come on. Like, I mean, not to even do this, but like when people were bringing up the Bernie thing, I was like, okay, how many fucking politicians have been on Bill Maher? Bill Maher has said the N-word on fucking HBO.
And Bill Maher is
Come
starting
on.
to get like anti-vaccine or like he's also doing weird stuff like that now. But we're not talking about Maher right now. Let's go.
And he's been an Islamophobe forever.
Yeah, fuck him.
Or I was quoting a Lenny Bruce bit, or I was quoting a
Joe.
Paul Mooney
Why were you
bit,
doing-
or I was talking about how Quentin Tarantino used it repeatedly in Pulp Fiction.
Oh, okay. You're gonna throw Tarantino under the bus.
Ironically,
You're on trial here, buddy.
because he was trying to compare it to another offensive word, and he said it out loud, and they fired him. Not calling anybody or just saying the word out loud.
But wasn't that like 3 years ago or something? That incident when it was an exec at, what was it, Twitter or something? That was like recent. So wait, he was saying the N-word like 3 years ago or 4 years ago? Like, wait, I'm taking that back.
We need a timeline of
Trying to
Joe Rogan
compare
saying
it
the
to
N-word.
another offensive. A Netflix executive
Says the N-word and then was fired. Look that up. What year was that?
Used it because he was trying to compare it to another offensive word, and he said it out loud, and they fired him. Not calling anybody or just saying the word out loud.
Yeah,
I was
well,
also talking about
that's a choice that can be made. I don't know what to say.
how there's not another word like it in the entire English language, because it's a word where only one group of people is allowed to use it, and they can use it in so many different ways. Like if a white person says that word, it's racist and toxic, but a black person can use it. And
See,
it could be
okay,
a
it's like
punchline.
the
It could be
sad
a
thing
term
is,
of
like,
endearment. It could be lyrics to a rap.
I think he's so sincere. Like,
Yeah,
he did just learn this. Like,
no, genuinely, I think like it's like when
that is the thing. Like, I sort of feel bad for Joe just because, like, he's so dumb.
you freezed it on a really good spot. I mean, like, I don't feel bad for him, but I do.
No, that's the wrong word. But I just am like, I don't have any sympathy for him. He's an idiot. But
no, but at the same time, like he is talking as if like he just learned this. He is talking like when I was like 12 and I listened to an explicit rap song for the first time. Like, and I was like, Mom, what the fuck? Like, but like, that's the thing. It's the problem. He's an issue, but not because I don't know if he like set anything into motion, but like we're in a circumstance now where there's millions of people who like hang on this fucking dumbass's every word. That's the fucking problem. Like that's it's sort of like the Silicon Valley being a media company thing, like where like people are like, oh, if you kick someone off Facebook, are you censoring them? The issue isn't so much like that, you know, whether or not a company can do that. The issue is that that's how we all get our fucking news. So it's tantamount to like, you know, censoring someone if you take them off Facebook. That's the issue.
To be clear, if I were Spotify, I'd probably hang on to him because like then you're really admitting you fucked up if you just pay all the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm not a corporate man. I don't know how that works. It's probably all just like cost benefit analysis, right?
Time value over money.
Song. It could be a positive affirmation. It's a very unusual word, but
the
it's
fucking word
not
affirmation
my
should
word
be
to use.
deleted.
I'm well aware of that now, but for years I used it in that manner. I never used it to be racist because I'm not racist.
Is he racist in your opinion? I don't like.
He's about as racist as any other white person.
Is as racist as once there's a supercut of you saying the N-word and like your podcast has like 150 instances of it. I don't know. I'm sorry, Joe, but
I don't know. Yeah, like
hard to give you the benefit of the doubt now that I think about it.
I think I would say yes, but like I just
And he'll
but
get
I,
into it, but that whole
I think if you were to ask him, he would like genuinely. I don't think this is an act. I think this is how.
by the end of this
react.
clip, he says he unpacks something that I think the answer will be very clear.
But whenever you're in a situation where you have to say, I'm not racist, you fucked up. And I clearly have fucked up. And that's my intention to express myself in this video, to say, there's nothing I can do to take that back. I wish I could. Obviously, that's not possible. I do hope that, if anything, that this can be a teachable moment. Because I never thought it would ever be taken out of context.
Being in like history
like
class in like 2045 and hearing about like the Joe Rogan N-word controversy of 2022.
Ugh. I mean, that is like the story in like fucking CNN right now. It's so fucking stupid.
Now that it is, holy shit, it looks bad. And it's part of also me doing this podcast for thousands of hours, thousands of episodes, over 12 years. I said,
You're bound to catch me using it once.
If you have an infinite number of monkeys typing, they will eventually type out Shakespeare. If you record a number of hours of podcasts, you will eventually say the N-word 200 times. Same idea, right?
Guess so.
a lot of fucking stupid shit, which is fine when you're talking about most things, but not when you're talking about race. And there's another clip that I have to address. There's a clip from 11 years ago. I was telling a story on the podcast about how me and my friend Tommy and his girlfriend, we got really high. We were in Philadelphia and we went to go see Planet of the Apes. And we didn't know where we were going. We just got dropped off by a cab and we got dropped off in this all black neighborhood. And I was trying to make the story entertaining. And I said, we got out and it was like we were in Africa. It's like we were in Planet of the Apes. I did
Okay,
not
that's
know what I
that's pretty racist, my guy.
Check the box. Sorry, Joe.
Again, it's
ever
funny though, because it's the same thing that like other people. I don't know. Like this is what like average fucking white people do. Though is they're like, I'm not racist, but it was scary being around all those black people. It's like okay, okay.
say that black people are apes, but it sure fucking sounded like that.
That's not even why it's a fucked up story though. Like the issue wasn't that like I mean you calling them that's like the fucking cherry on the top if you ask me. The story itself about you being like scared because you were around a ton of black people is like the more damning thing. But I don't know. Maybe others have a different opinion.
That's a racist thing to say. Planet of the Apes wasn't even in Africa. I was just saying there's a lot of black people there. But then I went on to talk about what a
There's more
positive experience it was and how much fun it was to go to see this movie in a black neighborhood. It wasn't a racist story, but it sounded terrible. And like I said, you can have
exoticizing
context matters until like your shit gets like clipped out. Then it's like it like you know, I mean like context matters, but like kind of doesn't. Like people don't care about context.
And even and the context he's giving isn't that great.
It's not even that's not even good context.
He's like, oh, I went slumming and it was so wild. Like that's not really that's like again still pretty fucking racist.
Clunky stories about anything, but not about race. And so I deleted that whole podcast, but obviously somebody made a clip out of it and taken out of context. It looks terrible, but it looks terrible even in context. It's a fucking idiotic thing to say. And I was just trying to be entertaining. I certainly wasn't trying to be racist. And I certainly would never want to offend someone for entertainment with something as stupid as racism. My hope is that, look, I can't go back in time and change what I've said. I wish I could. Obviously, that's not possible. But I do hope that this can be a teachable moment for anybody that doesn't realize how offensive that word can be coming out of a white person's mouth.
But like,
Okay.
and I looked at the subreddit. It's not a teachable moment to his fans. Like they're taking the opposite message of this. They're like Joe is betraying us
And I think
by
that's
doing this.
That's a tell. That's a tell. That because you know the question of like is Joe Rogan you know right wing or is he like a conservative or something? That's fucking interesting to me because like I based on this, I'm not saying that this like sways it one way or the other, but he's not doing what conservatives do in this instance. Conservatives double down. He's not really doubling down. He's he's kind of kowtowing,
Yeah.
or at least in like the eyes of like the Trumpian raving racist idiot hordes, like that in their view, like in the Reddit troll view, then yeah, he's kowtowing. I mean, to you and I, it looks contrite and goofy, but like to them, I'm sure it looks like this huge, you know, surrender. And I don't know. That's interesting because that's not what conservatives do. Conservatives do double down. And if it'd been like Jesse Waters or even Bill Maher, like he would have said,
sure.
"Oh, like of course I'm allowed to say that." Like I don't know.
In context or out of context. My sincere and humble apologies. I wish there was more that I could say, but all of this is just me talking from the bottom of my heart. It makes me sick watching that video, but hopefully at least some of you will accept this and understand where I'm coming from. My apologies.
I like the books in the background too.
My sincere, deepest apologies and much.
All right. I think I cut him off before he said much love. So thanks, Joe. Something to remind you that Rogan has no ideology or anything.
No, so that's what we need to do here. We need to just have straight talk. Don't tell them it's low risk. That's like the hurricane, okay?
This is him sitting with Michael Osterholm, who is one of the, Biden's main COVID, pandemic guys. And this episode, I believe, was from like the day or, the day it was. I remember I watched this one because it was he was the first. This was the first show I heard where it was like, oh, the pandemic's going to last like years. It was actually on Rogan's show. And I hadn't seen this guy Osterholm before that, but it was like, okay. So let's see what Joe says.
I would be really mad at you if I thought you were a hurricane forecaster and you knew this was coming, but you kept telling me, oh, it's low risk. Don't worry about it.
Right. Yeah. Once it hit.
Yeah. So that's what we need to do today is just say this is going to be challenging. And we're going to get through it, though. We are going to get through it.
I hope this wakes people up to the value of vaccines, too. There's so many wackos out there that think that vaccines are, a scam or they're dangerous or there's so many people out there that won't vaccinate their children.
I know. And that's one of your best shows.
He literally was like, he's been parading around saying, if you're young, don't get vaccinated.
I know. It just goes to show, like, he repeats the last thing that someone said to him. Like similar to Trump.
He's a dear friend of mine. I do too. He's a dear friend of mine, as you. And, he is one of the champions out there on this very issue.
Yes.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's really an important point that, we got to get this idea. These vaccines can be life-saving. If we had one right now, think how different this situation would be in we're in right now. Thank you for what you do say about vaccines because people listen to you and we need every positive voice because we have
That's fucking dark.
So many crazy voices out there right now
that are so paranoid and delusional, and they want it all to be a conspiracy. There's been an amazing medical innovation in human culture, and that's vaccines. It's amazing what it's done. And have there been adverse effects on people? Of course, everything that people do. There's some people that are going to react in a bad way. It doesn't mean it's not a positive thing.
No, so.
Man, even when he's trying to praise vaccines, he sounds kind of like a dumbass. But I mean, that's what we've been saying this whole time. He's like a fucking
he
a
doesn't.
Child. He's like a
he's
child's
not.
Mind.
I know. So it's kind of this amazing thing that this literal fucking pea brain is one of the most important voices in America.
Oh.
Like it or not, you will never deplatform him, and I don't think they should. I guess what? I watched a fucking interview that he did with Oliver Stone 3 weeks ago before all this shit. And, it was just the whole time Oliver Stone saying, JFK, it was all about JFK and just Joe going dude, yeah.
Yeah, there's...
I think there's value to a guy like Joe existing, but he's been so stupid, during the pandemic that it's just you, you can't, it's hard to separate it. And at this point, like, you know, like he said, once you're apologizing and saying you're not racist, that's
You fucked
not
up.
good. You fucked
Is
up.
what he said, I think. No, I mean, I don't know that like he should be like shut down. I don't like I think that there's an argument these days that like people are kind of helpless thrall to like mass media. And you can demonstrate in a certain way in which like media has destructive narratives, but I don't know. I don't know that like I think there's a way to like that maybe most of the people who listen to Joe Rogan, even if they got the vaccine, don't necessarily like end up, worsening the cause of the vaccine. Like, I don't know if there's like this identifiable, impact of Joe Rogan on vaccination rates that we can like really point out. Like the idea that like
Well, I did.
dumbasses on the media are like this kind of like social contagion. I don't know. It strikes me as kind of weird.
Joe Biden, is more racist and more responsible for people dying than Joe Rogan.
And I think like if we had a functioning society, then we wouldn't necessarily have Joe Rogan wouldn't have necessarily have gone this way. I'm not saying that like I don't know, he would have been like, really helpful if the government had had a useful response to this. But I think that people are rushing to blame the shitty state of COVID now and the shitty government response to it on someone other than the government, especially because, Biden is, liberals especially are like, it can't be. Before it was like Trump is the reason this is all fucked up. Now that Biden's here, they were saying it was because Trump handed them such a bad thing, but Biden's continuously fucked up on this for like 2 years now. And I don't know. I think they're looking for a new culprit. And Joe Rogan kind of fits the bill. I'm not saying there's like some kind of conspiracy there, but amongst like people driving the media narrative, and this is definitely a media narrative first and foremost, obviously, because it's about, we're doing the sin of podcasting about podcasts right now, but at the same time, like it does have consequences, but I do think that there's like maybe a shitty narrative going on here. I think that if like the government had a reasonable response to this, Joe Rogan wouldn't be the issue that he is, or that he, debatably is. I don't even know how you can quantify that. Yeah, I mean, like, did Joe Rogan lie us into the Iraq War? No. I mean, the New York Times did, and the New York Times was also like, when Joe Biden got elected. I don't mean to like act like this is just Dem conspiracy or whatever, but the fawning coverage of the Biden administration was so nauseating, given the deaths that were still going on from COVID and stuff like that. And if we want to talk about media having a deleterious effect on culture or on like politics or society, we can start with like bigger issues than Rogan.
Fucking like Jeff Zucker, who just resigned, has done far more evil than Joe Rogan. He was the head of CNN. He was the guy who was like, oh, we'll just air nonstop Trump rallies.
Exactly.
And he also greenlit The Apprentice to air initially, which arguably Trump never would have fucking been a pop culture figure the way he was and win the election without that. So Jeff Zucker, rest in piss.
Exactly. So like, again, while we've acknowledged this whole time that Rogan has a child brain and you should not take anything he says seriously, even if he's right. Even if he's right, he's just saying it because it's the last person who said it to him. That's like what he's repeating. But at the same time, I don't think that he's the reason that COVID is as bad as it is now. I'm not sure he's helping, of course. I'm sure that he has you could probably quantify some generally negative effect that he's had on it, but I don't know if it compares to the general failures of our government and our mass media. And I don't think Joe Rogan rises to that level, even though he is so wildly popular and so many people kind of hang on his every word.
Yeah. Because I really don't want to be the I don't want to be the people who are like just exhaustingly like you know what I mean,
The
like
podcast police.
yes, because that's
I don't
not
wanna-
I don't agree with that sort of thing. I think that pretty much, you know, like I get why Alex Jones has pulled off everything, but if you're not like Alex Jones, you pretty much should have the ability to, you know, speak and do your broadcast if you want. It's just you know.
I don't know. Yeah, I just I like I don't know. Material shit is not always downwind from media or from ideas. I think material shit is material shit, and people need to pay attention to that more and stop getting caught. But we're all stuck inside, so some big controversy like this with big names that inspire a lot of emotions, you know, it's just another like part of a circus, I think, and one that we are happy to participate in, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Media, about media. And all right, enough about Rogan. We've said our piece. New York Mayor Eric Adams, he definitely eats fish. I heard a report that he ate Peking duck. So he's not a fucking vegan or whatever. He's full of shit, and he lives in New Jersey.
Well, yeah, that's fine. Being a bullshit vegetarian is your prerogative as an American. You can say you're a vegetarian, but you like eat chicken. That's allowed. I think it's fine.
All right.
I'm speaking as a shitty like half-ass pescatarian myself.
I'm now gonna play this Eric Adams clip that I could not get out of my head.
Time of the day out getting some fruit.
Just the
fruit
king.
stand is open late at night. These guys work hard. You know, you come out, you get your first bit of fruit. You know, this is New York. You know, get up early enough, you get the fruits nice.
He's like 10,000 years old.
What is he talking about? It's so early. I love the fruit.
Packing and patronizing my small businesses, even my street vendors. Love it. We're gonna get through this, New York.
We're gonna get through this because of the fucking fruit stand at like 4 a.m.
Apparently he doesn't sleep.
Yeah, that I could believe. And also, I mean, you know, New York is infamous for this, so maybe he is showing that you're. I mean, what as a real New Yorker, Dan? What was your impression of the food stand performance, the video there?
Oh man, I mean, it's just it was indelible in that sense that I can't tell what he's trying to like. What is like? I know it's like local business, but he's like just the way he goes about it. Like he's so goddamn weird.
It has the energy of like when you're doing something normal, but like you think like you know, we gotta publicize this on social media. Like
yeah, like that photo Brie Larson posted where she's like, "Who said food can't be fun?" That's the same ethos as this Eric Adams thing. Yeah, and the thing that we were leading up to with Adams here is well,
this is
he's
like
under
the
fire.
absolute opposite of the Rogan thing. He's
under
in
fire.
trouble for saying the exact opposite thing.
Yes. So let's hear this unbleeped for the people. I was looking for like news clips. They were all like bleeped this word, and it's
You
just
can
ridiculous.
only hear this extremely offensive slur on our podcast. Get ready, everyone.
Police department. I kicked those crackers' ass, man.
I love that shit.
I kicked those crackers' ass, man.
So wait, he's like talking about being a cop and kicking white people's ass?
Yes. Yes.
And the conservatives are losing it over this. They're like, he basically said the N-word for white people.
I guess he was referring to white NYPD officers.
Oh, okay. I thought he meant that he was like admitting to police brutality also. It was like him being like, I beat up tons of white people when I was a cop.
And you know we had to do the apology, so let's just watch this for a second.
Apologize. Inappropriate comments should not have been used. Someone asking me a question using that comment and playing on that word, I responded in that comment. But clearly, it's a comment that should not be used, and I apologize not only to those who heard it, but to New Yorkers, because they should expect more from me, and that was inappropriate.
The banner at the bottom says Mayor Adams apologizes for racially offensive language. Like, if you, the way that this is actually treated like the opposite, like that's like tantamount to saying the N-word is fucking absurd. I'm not sure if I've seen this much credulousness paid to that argument in like the mainstream media. It sounds it seems like a joke that we would make.
Yeah, like I don't know if I was called that, I'd literally laugh.
Yeah, it's so funny. No, there's no way to be called a cracker and as a white person not laugh your ass. Like, Dan, what if someone on the street called you a honky? Like, what was your
like? What am I gonna report?
We would talk about it on the podcast because it's funny. We used to do stories like this, not like this exact thing, but like, funny encounters, like stories like, or even if I was at like, if my like supervisor at work called me a cracker, there's no way I would be like, oh wow, this is like a racially, toxic work environment or whatever. Like, I would just be like, okay, like I would screenshot it for sure. But I would never think of it as like any kind of like political fodder or anything useful. It's
so
like
what you're saying is you stand with Mayor Eric Adams.
I stand with Eric Adams. And so wait, what was the question he was asked? Because he did say, like you said he was referring to the NYPD as the crackers. Yes. Like was the question like
so I think the question was related to how do you deal with these like
crackers of your work?
Like, yes.
And he said, I kicked those crackers' ass. That's cool. I mean, not to do propaganda on here, but that's
no. We're not doing that. But he's also funny.
Okay, Eric Adams he's a great New York mayor. Number one. Number two,
4 a.m. fruit stand.
New York City, baby. Only in one city in the world. Like, even though he does the fact that he's a fake New Yorker makes him a real New Yorker. I don't know how to explain that. That's pretending to live in New York, but you actually live in Jersey, and you pretend to be a vegetarian, but you actually eat like fish and chicken is the most New York thing I can think of off the top of my head. So he gets a pass from me. It actually makes him more of a New Yorker to me. I also think he's one of the funniest people in terms of just like daily news bullshit. Since Trump.
He is not disappointed. He has really brought the A game.
And he's not really like as bad a guy as Trump, so it's funnier to see him in the news more. I'm just kind of like, I mean, like ostensibly he's, a liberal Democrat or whatever. So he's on our side.
Yeah, I guess.
We should embrace him. We could push him left.
I can fix him.
I'm really here to establish the dictatorship of the proletariat. It's 4 a.m. The Soviets are on their way to the factory. Like
it's 4 a.m. bread lines. The
struggle of landlords.
Eat the rich.
Yeah, I don't know, but I would vote for Cadre Eric Adams. I don't know.
Bring back Curtis Sliwa.
What was it? His Curtis Sliwa and living in a studio apartment with like 16 cats or whatever. I wish I'd known that.
He got hit by a taxi the week of the election.
I wish I had known that before he spoke at my high school and denounced 50 Cent, which happened when I was in like 6th grade, I want to say. And I was like so confused. We had this assembly with him. And he was describing what he does. I was like, so wait, this guy just walks around like kicking random people's ass so they don't do crime? I was like, is this legal? Like my mom was telling me like when I watched like Batman or something, she'd be like, it's illegal for Batman to do what he does. That's called a vigilante. And then I like saw Curtis Sliwa. I was like, wait, what? Okay. New York's a crazy place.
Oh, let's wrap things up. But you never had the chance to you ran into Mayor Pete.
Oh my God, yeah.
We never talked about that in the pod. So what the hell happened?
Oh, 100%. Okay, so we'll throw back a little bit to when we used to do story time. This is good. On Sundays, when it's nice out, I go on like a long bike ride around Arlington. Because there's nice trails. You can do like a solid like 25-mile loop. It's a good way to spend like an hour and a half. But it's a very public trail. Like it's scenic. It's like a classic weekend warrior sort of thing. There's a lot of other people who look like me on this trail at that time, including Mayor Pete. So like I was coming around and like near Arlington Cemetery on the Mount Vernon Trail. I saw him and I was just like, I think I had just watched
the doc,
the brutally uncomfortable expose about how fucking bad Mayor Pete's relationship is with Chasten, or at least the way it was on the campaign trail, which was the standout feature of that Amazon documentary that he was in, was the way that poor Chasten was like mistreated the whole fucking time. But to the point that like Mayor Pete does not understand why what he's doing is significant for someone like Chasten, who grew up closeted and struggles with his family about being a gay man. Anyway, I saw Mayor Pete and I passed him because I was cruising, but I obviously turned around and I looked back and I saw that he had one security detail. He was running with like another man who I assume was his trainer. I'm not trying to feed any gossip blogs. I don't think he was cheating on Chasten. I'm sure his crimes against Chasten are of a different nature. But either way, I saw the security detail, like a guy trying to look inconspicuous, riding a bike behind them slowly with an earpiece. And I was like, that's him. That's 100% him. So I just pulled up and I said, I think I literally said, like, hey, do you mind if I get a picture with you? You're an inspiration to me.
Wow.
I was like trying to think of an in as to like what would convince him to stop and deal with me, because I'm only doing this for shitposty reasons.
Absolutely.
And I think like I sometimes
Did you
get in
ever
my
even
head.
post it on Twitter?
No, I didn't post it. There's no good way to do it because like I don't know.
I feel like you just sent it to me, and
I think I just sent it to some. I sent it to people privately, but I'll post it. I don't give a shit. I'll post it now.
Tweet it out with the episode. No, tweet it with the episode.
I'll tweet it with the episode just so people have context. But But yeah, so I told him, I was like, you're an inspiration to me. Usually I try to lead off with a compliment. Like when I met Jacob Wall and Jack Berkman, in my neighborhood, like it was just fucking wild. I went up to them and I told Jacob Wall that I loved his Instagram, which at that time was objectively true. But he had just gotten shut down from Instagram, and he delivered the news to me live. But so I guess it's like a 2-for-1 deal here. I could also post the Jack Berkman one, but either way,
get them both.
We'll get them both up there. The Mayor Pete one, to keep me on topic. He took the picture with me and was totally nice and normal. He talks and acts exactly like he does in media performances. That's like who he really is.
Yeah.
He did not, or he was putting it on for me. But I shook his hand and went on my way. It was pretty mundane, but afterwards I cracked up biking away because I had been trying to maintain kind of a straight face the whole time.
I had probably to a worse degree, like when I took that picture with Chris Christie outside of Sirius.
What
like
can you do with that?
I mean, it took all of my power not to just like completely hysterically laugh that I was taking a picture with this fucking ogre.
That one was ridiculous. I mean, Jacob Wall and Jack Berkman had me cracking up a bit, but if it was Chris Christie, I would have been. There's no way I could have gotten near him. I don't know. You have much more bravery about this. Like I've called you to psych me up to go say hi to celebrities before.
Yes,
because you do this all the fucking time.
No, I got a picture with Tucker.
Here.
I got a picture with Tucker on the street once.
No,
it was literally 420. It was
that
420.
one you really can't post anywhere.
No. But it was 420. What was I supposed to do?
You have to get the picture. No, that's the other thing is that when you're in this situation, every time my mind, I'm like, you have to get the picture. Because you know what? These people exist for this purpose. They exist to be these like
they love it.
They want attention. And attention.
Dude, Tucker wanted to like chat. He was like, so what do you do?
No, Jack Berkman and Jacob Wall were genuinely like happy that someone recognized them. They were fucking thrilled that I recognized him. I was like, the only reason I recognize you is because I need to go outside more. Like this is abnormal. But I don't know. Mayor Pete was pretty into it. I guess I laid it on a little thick saying that he was an inspiration. I think maybe he may have read into it that I was like, a gay man, which to date, not really feeling like I would identify that way. But it still got me the picture. So what can you do?
Whatever. Well, I think we're gonna end it there. It's been a good episode. Any plugs for you, Sam?
I will put the link to my mutual aid group, Ward 2 Mutual Aid in DC. We do encampment outreach, grocery distribution, and lots of other things to organize people in Ward 2 to fight for housing justice. So any donations, recurring or otherwise, that you feel like making, please go ahead. I'd appreciate it. I'm only gonna be with them a few more months because I'm going to move to New York soon.
Wow, you announced it on the pod.
People will hear about it. Yeah. I mean, we'll
big.
see how it goes, but we'll document either the success or the failure of my long awaited move to New York.
This is going to be big. We'll end it there. I got nothing else to plug here. So this is Hog Planet.
Did not flub the second one.
No, I nailed it. Ha ha! Fruit. 4 a.m. fruit. Ha
4 a.m. fruit. We should get Joey to make that.
Oh yeah, let's get a remix.
4 a.m. fruit.
Fruit. Fruit.